Welcome, NASCAR Camping World Truck Series qualifying from Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Lexington, Ohio, about 60 miles north of Columbus. And you can see it right there on your screen. It's raining. This makes it a little more interesting when we put the rain tires on. And, yeah, we will do that because this is a road course. Of course, you don't do it on the ovals, but we will run in the rain, and had a little bit of precipitation in practice earlier in an hour session. As you see, Mason Philippi with a little bit of an issue. Grant Infinger had a problem as well, a transmission. You can hear it. Never a good sign, Phil Parsons, when this is what you get.
Down the long back straight, you hear him grab third gear, but listen when he grabs second. Nothing happened. Something broke. It was actually the output shaft and the transmission that broke. They said that very unusual for that to happen, but that will put him to changing the transmission.
Chandler Smith doing a little bit of yard work as well. Got it spun around going the right direction. No significant damage. Stuart Friesen off course as well. Everybody just trying to find the limits in this morning practice session.
And guys, this is when it was dry. It was a little damp early, but this is when it was a dry, pretty hard contact. Really the only truck we saw get into the wall.
That's Stephen Malazzi, and I like this right here. Yep,
okay.
Everything's good. Don't sweat it. Yeah, we're not. But we're getting a little bit wet because we got to have the rain gear, so bring out the umbrella and the ponchos, and you see there is certainly precipitation in the area, and it just fired up. We had an ARCA practice just prior to coming on the air here, and they had some precipitation, just a little bit, but it has really started to come down now. But as you see, 73 degrees, and I'd say it's a little harder than a light rain. And we'll welcome our pit reporters downstairs in the elements, beginning with Jamie Howe.
Well, Vince, as soon as this rain started falling, I was standing in the pit with Justin Marks waiting for us to go on air. And Kosin Hocevar, his teammate for the weekend, came over and said, what do I need to know about racing here in the wet? So they've been debriefing for the last couple of minutes. Justin, I loved one of the headlines this week. It said, you can't take the driver out of the team owner. It's your first NASCAR national event start since 2018. What are you hoping to gain from this weekend?
Well, I think it's about having fun. I think it's about, thanking these Nice guys and Worldwide Express and everybody that supports it, for giving me the opportunity. So it's been a while, and I only got about 5 laps in practice, so I've got a lot of work to do on me, and then this session will be kind of a throwaway with the rain because we're gonna have a dry race. So I'll just go out there and try to have some fun, and it's, if anything, it's nice to be able to talk to Ross Chastain and Daniel Suarez as a driver, because just to know what they're up against and kind of what they're feeling, and it's good to get in the car and feel that for myself.
When Carson came over here for that debrief, there were a couple of things I overheard you say: stay off of the paint. The line, obviously, it's different with the wet racetrack. What other tips did you give him about this session? I think
racing in the rain or driving in the rain is a philosophy more than it is any kind of particular nuance about a particular track. It's just about understanding where grip is when it gets wet, understanding some of the things that you have to do to make sure that you're eliminating some risk, but you're also finding speed. So I was just talking to him a little bit about that. Just that things are a lot different when the track is wet. You find speed in a lot of different ways. You have to be smart. It's like I've won races in the rain before, just running like 90%. You know what I mean? Just because that line is so fine. So anything I can do to help him. He's an amazing talent. And will help the team. And he's not the first one I've talked to this weekend. So it's nice to come to the racetrack and be somebody that people are seeking advice from.
It's great to have you out here. It's Justin Marks in for his first race since 2018. Let's go down to Josh for more stories.
And another good guy to get advice from is Matty D. And for you, what changes when it comes to qualifying now that we got the wet stuff coming down?
I was just saying a little bit ago, I was like, man, the weather can't decide what it wants to do. And then right after I said it, boom, rain. So it decided. So we're qualifying in the rain. It's fun. I like the rain stuff. It's actually fun in the truck. So, yeah, we'll see. Should be interesting. And if anybody is in this kind of weather and you need a good roofing company, I know of a company. You happen to see them on my truck every week, Rackley Roofing. See, what an organic plug that was, huh, Josh?
You got to make the sponsors happy as always. But I talked to you about a month ago, and you guys were already talking about this race and how this was probably your best shot to win. Why did you guys circle Mid-Ohio?
Yeah, I think we've been working on this road course truck. It's a little more updated now, and we've got a pretty good piece. Road course racing falls into my strong suit of something I like to do. It's technical, and I think kind of experience can come into play and help. And I can also lean on guys I know like AJ Allmendinger, who's kind of okay at these things too. But no, I've had a lot of success at road courses. I love them, and we've, our team, Rackley, the whole Rackley War team's put a lot of effort into this truck to try and give us a good piece. It's a standalone race too, so it's just us truck guys racing against each other, and hopefully us getting a win so we can put it in the playoffs.
There you go. That's the plan for Matty D. Good luck, guys.
Well, and it is a critical race in regards to making the playoffs. If you're Matt DiBenedetto, you see 62 points off the cut line with just 2 races remaining in the regular season. He really has to win, and this is certainly his best opportunity to do it. And it's kind of tight there around the cut line. Grant Enfinger, 39 points to the good. Crafton, 29, maybe a little nervous there. Derek Kraus still within shot.
I think Derek Kraus is probably the only guy below the cut line that might be able to point his way in. I think from Tyler Ankerman down, they're going to have to win. 50 points down. There's only 120 points available in these 2 races overall, so those guys from a 12th on down are going to have to win.
Yeah, Enfinger lost 19 points last race, so I mean that would really tighten things up if Crafton would happen to lose 19 or more with still another race to go. Yeah, the windshield wipers on. We're going to qualify in the rain at Mid-Ohio.
It's the new champ after her dramatic cash-in on Ronda Rousey. How will Rousey respond? Plus the return of the undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns. It's an all-new edition of Friday Night SmackDown, live at 8 Eastern, 7 Central, tonight on Fox.
Back at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, yes, that is rain, and it is coming down here for NASCAR Camping World Truck Series qualifying. We did have a practice session earlier today, and there was some precipitation in that as well. Not nearly as hard as it's raining now, and you see our top 10 led by our playoff standings leader, Zane Smith, 3-time winner this season. Connor Mosak, we'll talk more about him there, 10th fastest, bright young talent. He's going to get his shot making his Truck Series debut here today with qualifying and then, of course, with the race tomorrow. I'm Vince Welch along with Phil Parsons, and Andy Lally is in the booth with us. And Andy has multiple wins here at Mid-Ohio and IMSA. How does the rain and switching to the wet tires, the wets as we call them, how does that impact what we're about to see here in qualifying?
Well, not only just the rain tires, but Mid-Ohio in general is probably one of the trickiest, lowest grip dry lines in the wet that there is. So it's a very textbook rain line. You want to be very, very wide and like way off the dry line here. You'll see, even in the dry on a cloudy day, you'll almost see a reflection from how polished the dry line is here. So to elaborate a little bit more about what Justin Marks was talking about, he had an amazing run here in 2016 when he won the Xfinity race, but and he was, like you said, he was one of the guys that didn't make a lot of mistakes in the race, put the car in the right spot, had faith in the way you drive in the rain, which is a bit tricky, especially in conditions like this when we get guys off straight away.
Well, Chandler Smith, you see in there in the 18, it didn't take long for him to get off course, and you see the clock in the upper left-hand portion of the screen. The field is separated into two groups. We'll have Group A and Group B. Each group gets 15 minutes to post fast times, and the top 5 from each group will then advance to the final round, and they will run for the pole, as you see what happened to Chandler Smith here.
Now, Andy, was he a little bit too close to the line, that polished line you were talking about?
He was a little bit too close to the line. He was sort of braking on his way in, but he also carried a whole lot of speed for an outlap, and I think it was just a little bit of an ambitious go at it. And I mean, we're seeing a lot of guys just realizing how treacherous this place is on the line. Everyone that's turning in on the sealer and hitting the pavement here coming into 7 is going to step that back at. This is a place where it's also, in those situations, really easy to lock the fronts up. So in something like this where you don't have the grip, that means not a lot of weight goes forward on those tires either. So typically what you're going to want to do is take your brake bias and turn it backwards here. and just get a little bit more rear because you're not going to, the fronts aren't going to be able to take that much brake pressure.
I think this has to be a record for the number of trucks that have spawned in one lap here that were not involved in the same accident.
Chase Purdy can't figure out which way he wants, which direction he's going to go. But yeah, especially if you have no experience driving on a wet course, this is certainly an incredible challenge. As you see, John Hunter Nemechek around as well. Wow.
We've got some on board from the 23 to see this.
Grant Enfinger on board here with Grant.
Nice 360.
Yeah.
Well executed.
Smooth.
Yeah.
Good. Stick it in first. Get back to it.
At least the second, if not the third spin for Chandler Smith. And we joke, but Andy, you know on this how hard this is with these guys. Now, we just came off they practiced this morning. It was a little damp, when they started, but then it dried out. So these guys are used to a dry racetrack, and then they put it under these conditions.
And the other thing that almost every driver is going to do is they're going to draw from their past memories of driving in the rain. One of their last times driving in the wet was at COTA, which is a lot more grip, and you'll almost run the dry line in some of those areas there where you'll switch back. We saw the race last year between Gilliland and Gralla that they were both switching up lines. You've got one line here, and it better not be the dry line because you are going to be slipping and sliding just like these guys are. They're going to learn this. They're going to figure out, even on the straightaways, it's hard to be putting power down in third, fourth gear if you're on the dry line.
A lot of these guys with manufacturer support will have been in the simulator, and everything they learned in this simulator, they're just going to throw that out. I think has he made a lap yet? Okay, I think that's our last count, 4 spins, and now he was just coming around back to the start finish.
And we can kind of see why. He's right on the dry line right there. We've got to, so I'll try to talk through this if we stay with the 18 here. As we come into turn 1, he wants to be off that dry line and way outside here, and then pause on throttle as he's going back across the dry line, and then find his way up the middle of the straightaway, or at least one car width off the dry line here. And that's what a lot of these guys are struggling with. COTA, you could drive on the dry line and have it be okay. Here, it's absolutely treacherous. It will be seconds slower on your lap time, and most likely, as we're seeing, we're getting guys spinning around and either sticking in a gravel trap, filling up a grill with grass, or just quitting altogether and rolling
Timmy
back.
Hill's smart guy right here, going back to pit road.
Well, I think it's, if you're watching at home, you say, why don't they just slow down and complete a lap, get a lap? Look at how hard Chandler Smith is driving this truck right here. Why don't they just slow down and complete a lap? But you've got to find the edge. The tricky thing about this, the weather forecast for tomorrow, completely dry. Yeah. So you're dealing with something here today for qualifying that you're not going to have to deal with in the race tomorrow, and finding a balance of what you want to get accomplished in this qualifying session. What is it?
So the number one goal of what they want to get accomplished is start up front, because this is a relatively tricky place to pass in comparison to other tracks that we go to. I'm seeing the 18 here. This sort of, and it's not a dig, it's actually, it's a compliment. This sort of reminds me of Bubba Wallace in 2016. He was out there in the 6, and he must have thrown it off 5 or 6 times in the race, but he drove the heck out of that thing. He passed me 5 or 6 times, and he would throw it off 5 or 6 times, and I would watch, and he was able to gather it up while it was in the grass and keep going, but was really solid and went really fast by the end of that session.
13 turns, about 2.25 miles around, and I think Chandler Smith has spun in every one of them, Jamie. Every one of the 13 so far.
Well, I've been listening in on his team radio, and there's been a lot of differing information given to him. And you think about what these drivers are dealing with out there, but then they're also being told you're going too fast, you need to slow down, you're on the line, you need to get off the line. Right now, the word to Chandler is you got to do it just like that. You need to follow the off line around the racetrack and minimal wheel movements. They're telling him he's putting too much input into the truck, not letting it go around itself. So a lot of coaching happening, a lot of trying to figure it out. Only just shy of 9 minutes left in this session, but they're getting a lot of information being fed to him right now.
Well, John Hunter Nemechek, you see the time there, 1:59, so basically 2 minutes. Now, in practice today, they were going around here in 87 seconds. So you see the difference in how much slower they have to go maneuvering under these conditions.
And believe me, this is harder than what they were doing when they were running 87-second laps.
And I tell you, for all those spins and whatnot, we see with Chandler, watch him by the end of this session. He's got a shot once he gathers it all up and learns from those mistakes to put a big lap in and go quick. We can see Crafton here again. We're getting that wheel spin going from second to third gear on the upshifts. Parker is going to move all the way to the outside here and run that rim as brave as you can get to run inches from that white line, which means if you're a mile an hour too quick and you slide the front, now that front's in the grass, but that's where the grip is. It's almost like it's the berm on a dirt track. It's where all the oil that's coming off the tires and the polish isn't. It's where the aggregate is at its sharpest and sticking out above the water. That's where the tires grip the road.
Remember, the top 5 from this session will advance to the final round, and we've got a second group, Group B, coming as well for a 15-minute session. So far, John Hunter Nemechek and Parker Kligerman lead the way. Back at Mid-Ohio, NASCAR Camping World Truck Series qualifying. This is Group A. Vince Welch along with Phil Parsons and Andy Lally as we're watching Grant Infinger try to maneuver this 13-turn course in wet conditions.
We've been watching him during the break, Vince, and Andy was talking about where he doesn't need to be, and it looks like he was exactly what you just said, Andy. You got to stay away from the red and white curb. I was going to say, and it looked like Grant was doing a better job until that happened.
Now, there's a tricky part about every rain line here. You're going to cross the dry line once on entry and once on exit. So you've got to make sure you're on that line for the least amount of time. What we saw was the 23 there as it came through 8 and 9. It was on its approach, and he got on the brakes on the dry line. And as soon as he got on the brakes, those rears just shut down and sent him around. So he's on the dry line here. He goes to brakes on the dry, still on a little bit of paint, and the back's just not having it. You've got to be at least a car width to the right as we come through there. He did a good job through 4, 5, 6, was very patient, and then got back to the dry line here, and it just wasn't happening. It's a tough deal. We've got more footage here from the 18. On the dry line on entry, and same thing. We've got to get these guys.
Andy, explain what you mean by the dry line, because the entire course is wet. So
right.
how do
okay.
you,
Sorry.
What do you mean by the dry line?
So to explain this in detail, every truck, once we go dry here tomorrow when we see the race, and what we saw in practice is there's a specific line, just like you would see on a short track, like if you're at Martinsville or something. Nobody's really going to move their lines around too much. Everybody's up against the wall, and then they turn in down to the bottom, and then they're up against the wall at the exit. That same thing is happening outside on entry, inside at the apex, outside again at the exit. And we can see here
so
on
the dry
monitor,
line, you mean the dry line is what they would run if the course was dry?
Yes. That's a decent attempt on the telestrator there, but what we can just look at is the sealer that's over here, and we can watch that mark. That sealer's down because that's where most cars run, and that's where it tears up the asphalt, and those concrete patches are where the wear happens, where the high G load happens, but that's also where the most amount of polish and the most amount of rubber gets put down, and so you want to basically get on the brakes to slow the car down a car width at least off of that. And when I say off of that, if it's a right-hand turn, you're going to, and the trucks are normally set up all the way on the left, you're going to be 5, 6, 7 feet to the right, almost breaking down the middle, and then you've got to be very gentle and sort of come off the brake as you roll across the line that those trucks have been driving on all day, and you find the cushion on the outside, and you literally go from big slip and monster push in the car, in the truck, to sliding across that and then finding a ton of grip, hooking it up on the outside, getting some power, some rotation, and starting to pick that speed up. And then you've got to be aware again on the exit as you're just at the point where your brain's like, man, we're good. I'm going to add some more power. You cross back over the dry line, and you've got to be aware there. Pause on the throttle, and then finish it off when you get back.
Essentially, you see the red and white curb on the inside of the racetrack. Andy, in a dry line, you're going to be very close, if not on top of that, with your right side tires.
Well, so if you're
on the dry line,
on the dry line, yes. On the wet line, if you're anywhere near the red and white curbs, you're doing it wrong. You've got to be far off of it. We saw Parker Kligerman come in here. He broke about a car width off almost to the middle. Basically, like his right sides were on the middle seam that we're seeing on the track, and then he basically went straight through the lighter gray part that we're seeing, which is part of the sealer, and then he found that outside. And the brevity that comes with that, the sketchiness, the insane feeling in your stomach as you're sliding through that and having the faith that there's grip on the other side is tough, because if you miss and you hit that paint, you hit that grass, now you're in the gravel trap. Well, you're in the wall. You're in whatever damage you have, and your race is potentially over.
The pickup truck was unable to pull Chandler Smith out, so they had to get the tow truck out, and you see the clock stopped at 3 minutes and 50 seconds. Group A, which is the group that you're looking at here, gets 15 minutes, and then Group B will get 15 minutes. The top 5 from each advance to the final round and an opportunity to run for the pole. And as you see the yellow line there indicating our current top 5, Connor Mozak, interesting story, 23 years old, he really didn't even start racing till he was 18, grew up kind of a stick and ball kid, and got turned on to it by one of the driving experiences at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and said, man, that was a lot of fun. And he's turned into a pretty good racer. A lot of folks think very highly of Connor Mozak, don't they, Andy?
For having such little time in a car, he's only got 4 or 5 years in total in a car. He's made big impressions both in his first Xfinity start last month at Portland with very good speed, top 10 qualifying speed, his TA2 experience, and he's got a good head on his shoulders. We talked to him this afternoon. I liked his approach about what he wanted to do with his ARCA schedule, where he was aiming at, understanding that there are more and more road courses coming on the scene, and he thought TA2 would be a great spot to kind of hone those skills, and I think he's either got really good management and family behind him that's helping him make these decisions, or he's got a real good solid head on his shoulder, or both. And but he seems pretty cool, calm, and collected, and he's got his brain pointed in the right direction to get the right stuff going. And
you see this is the 29th road course race. First time ever here for the trucks at Mid-Ohio.
How about the last 17 races, Vince? 17 different winners on the road courses.
Only 3 of those guys are here this weekend.
Yeah. Good chance we might see number 18 in a row.
Boris said, Ron Fellows, Chase Elliott, Austin Cindric all got their first career win at a road course race, and possible that could happen again here this weekend. I think it's a bit unfortunate that because this is the first time here, and this is only the 3rd road course race of the season, so many of these drivers, the one thing you need when they come to the road course is laps. They had some at practice earlier today, and qualifying, you really wanted an opportunity to come out here and get good laps to prepare for the race tomorrow. This is completely opposite of what they're going to deal with tomorrow. So this does them no good, really, in preparation for the race tomorrow, because the forecast is nothing but dry for tomorrow.
It really doesn't, and everything they learned in that practice session or in the simulators has nothing to do with what they're doing now. It's almost like it's a different racetrack just put right here in the same spot in Lexington, Ohio. But and the thing that if it keeps raining, if the conditions stay the same, then it'll be even from first group to the second group. If the track got a whole lot better, then all the second group's going to run way faster than the first group.
Trucks just getting back up to speed, at least as much speed as you can gather in this rainy condition. And there's the alternate start-finish line. That's the line used for timing and scoring during qualifying. Allows them to cross that line and then duck into the pits afterwards. A lap is completed. Looking to be in the top 5 here in this group, and that will advance you to the final round and an opportunity to run for the pole. And so far, Kligerman, Hocevar, Nemechek, Crafton, and Connor Mozak looking to make his Truck Series debut in the top 5.
How impressive is Hocevar? We saw him get the pole at Sears Point back a few weeks ago, and then actually crashed just as he crossed that alternate timing line. But here he comes in the rain at Mid-Ohio, someplace he's never been before, and he's up here in the top 5.
Parker Kligerman fastest so far. Impressive again, Jamie.
There are a couple of changes that are happening down on pit lane, but one of the biggest ones is during that first session of qualifying, Parker was struggling with the windshield fogging up, so the team ran back during this break to grab some dish soap out of their hauler. They put it onto a rag, rubbed it onto the inside, and hopefully that's going to keep the fog from rebuilding as he goes out there for the second attempt to set that the top 10 for the race tomorrow. But that's the biggest change that's happened down here, Vince.
Every little trick, you learn those things over the course of time. And
we know Andy ran the Xfinity race. There's a little bit of grass there from 88, and this is how it got there. Just overcooked it. At least he drove straight through the gravel trap, which kept that truck going, and you see the grass on it. But Andy ran the race at Portland, which was essentially run in the rain. And I know Andy, I was listening to Andy on the radio at times, and he said the vision was the hardest part. It wasn't the grip on the racetrack, it was the vision.
When these guys are out here and they're trying to find a hole in qualifying and they're all by themselves, it's one thing. When you are in the pack and they are throwing up all that rooster tail and whatnot, you can have the clearest windshield in the paddock, but you're still not going to see very far out past the front of those hood pins there.
Connor Mozak has been bumped from the top 5 by Dylan Lupton, and he is on a lap here trying to get back into the top 5. We'll keep an eye on that to see if he can finish this qualifying session by, nope, not going to happen, as he gets off track, just trying to push it a little bit to try to sneak into that top 5. Not going to work out for him. And another one off track in the gravel, and that's the 40 of Dean Thompson. Qualifying session Group A is complete.
I would like to have a count on how many spins and off-track excursions we had during this qualifying session.
And there's the 7 of Dylan Lupton, who is looking to make his season debut. Of course, has run many Truck Series races in the past, but none this season, driving for Spire Motorsports, and been very impressed with what Lupton has done throughout the course of his career when given the opportunity, and I think got to be impressed with coming out here in these wet conditions and sticking his truck in the top 5 of this first group.
I was going to say, I was very impressed with what he's done in his last lap. He just went from a 2:03 outside of the top 5 to stick it a 2-minute, almost 2-minute .9 here, and put himself solidly in the second round if he can keep this. That's a big improvement. So under that yellow, under that break, he either had a good conversation or good thinking and readjusted some stuff and went out and took seconds off of his lap time.
Now they just want to bring it into the pits now and get ready for this second group. Group B will come out, and again, out of that group, the top 5 will advance to the final round. And you can see there a good shot of how much it's raining and how hard the rain is coming down under these conditions.
And Vince, we know how hard it is. We've seen 20-plus off-track excursions, but we've got 13 corners here. There's 13 opportunities to run off this racetrack.
Heck, I think you run off in the straight. I mean, we've seen the straight line is a hard
several
one to drive.
straightaways,
Yeah.
exactly. Good job, though, by Dylan Lupton.
You know, if you can just get a good starting position for tomorrow. I mean, track position is so important here, right? I mean, it's hard to pass. And track position is important always, but especially at a place like Mid-Ohio. If you can manage in these wet conditions to get good starting position, this really even works more to your benefit tomorrow. Yeah, it's raining, and that just adds to the fun, right? Yeah, it's raining, it's slippery up on top of that motorhome. Grab a beer and get on up there. That's the smart thing to do. Have a good old time. Yeah. Glad you're with us. And it is qualifying for the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, and Group A has just completed its 15-minute adventure, and you see Parker Kligerman, Carson Hocevar, Nemechek, Crafton, and Lupton advancing to the final round.
How about Trey Burke in his first ever Truck Series race, making the top 10 in that group? Pretty impressive.
Yeah, we've got 5 drivers going to make their Truck Series debut tomorrow, and Mosak one of those, as is Trey Burke, as Phil mentioned. Let's go downstairs to Josh.
Down here with Carson Hocevar, second on the board in Group A. Nice enough to hold the umbrella for me. Surprisingly, you have the crutches, you have the umbrella. I should be holding it for you, but what was it like out there?
Really fun. I mean, it's a lot of fun. just having to be so technical and so much, like, you feel terrible. You feel like the slowest thing on earth, like you're a four-banger out there on a local Saturday night dirt track when they just tried to mud pack it. Like, you are spinning the tires left and right, and you're actually fast compared to the other guys that are spinning a little bit more than you. But no, it's a lot of fun. Hopefully it doesn't lightning or anything, and we get to round 2 just fine. And I think there's a little bit more speed, but when you have a little bit more speed, most of the time there's that risk versus reward. And I got 99% sticker from after Sonoma that I'm gonna look at from now on. But yeah, like you said, like I should be holding the umbrella, but you're a little short, so like you start hitting me in the head with it. So.
Wow. Okay. Well, how do you stand with the foot right now, especially with everything you have to do out there?
I mean, I don't know if I had a nickel or a dollar or whatever you want to count it, for how many times I've gotten asked that since that, I could fund my whole truck season and probably then some. But no, it feels fine. It's getting better. It's getting a lot better, a lot more movement in it. I just can't walk on it yet. I mean, that's the biggest thing. You know, these crutches aren't just for show, even though I'll joke about it and say they are. And but no, I can walk on it a little bit and put a little bit of pressure, but I've been using it so much they'd rather me not, and just try to be a little easy when I can. And it just hurts after a while, like just because the bone and all the muscles and everything. Finally got to get used to holding my tall, whatever you want to call it, self. But you know, hopefully I don't tip over or anything when I get my foot back together. But a lot of fun right here.
All right, brother. Well, good luck in the second round. Jamie?
Well, Josh, for Grant Enfinger, he was outside of the top 5 in the Group A of qualifying, so that puts him without a top 10 starting position for the race tomorrow. We're expecting very different conditions, but what will this do for your chances tomorrow?
Yeah, obviously track position is important everywhere we go, especially at the road courses where we don't have any pit stop strategy. So, you know, I think we have a really good Champion Power Equipment Chevrolet for the dry weather. You know, I don't know. I think the driver let us down a little bit there in that qualifying session. Felt like I thought I put the last lap together pretty decent. Got held up by a buddy of mine out there, and that was my fault. I should have let him go to begin with. We thought we were going to be able to make a second lap and just obviously ran out of time. So, unfortunate, but we'll be ready for him tomorrow.
Thank you, Grant. Vince?
Thanks, Jamie. Hey, there's a look at the 41, Justin Marks, back in a truck. Good to see him. He's made 38 starts, I believe, throughout the course of his NASCAR career in a truck, and he won here at Mid-Ohio in the Xfinity Series back in 2016. But in his current role as NASCAR Cup Series co-owner at Trackhouse, Justin Marks, good to see him back behind the wheel. Speaking of that win in 2016 here at Mid-Ohio, well, you should be comfortable and familiar with the conditions, right?
Well, very similar to what they are today, but what a great job he did that day. Andy alluded to it earlier.
Yeah, it was an absolutely amazing run. The conditions were horrible, and he was on point. Not only was he quick, but he was super precise with where he placed his car, and now he's got to do the same thing again with his truck. He's got a handful, though. I'm watching him in practice. He was huge loose. As soon as he touched the throttle, the back end was stepping out in practice, and we're seeing this on his outlap, same exact thing. Now watch him place it right to the outside here. This is the gutsy part here where you're running way off of that inside curbing, and now you cut it down, and he's doing the same thing. He's got this habit where he lets his right hand off the wheel when it gets loose, and he'll correct just with his left hand. You can tell that's something that he's not going to be happy with. He's going to be looking to make changes, dry or wet. He's got to be able to go to throttle without that thing stepping the back end so far out.
A lot of road course racing experience for Justin Marks in sports cars. 9 wins, part of 9 winning teams in his sports car history. So, I mean, he was quite the racer before he became more well-known as co-owner of Trackhouse.
And that's a really important thing to have. As we see him step out his 4th gear, he's stepping the back out now just before he goes to brake there.
Just try to get just a little bit ounce more throttle in the back end stepped out.
You'd think these drivers would be flat on the straightaway, and for the most part they get to be, but there's going to be these little points where there's an undulation, a tiny turn, and man, you've got to be on top of it. You can hear just as we watch and listen around here how little throttle there is through 5, 6, 7, and 8 here.
We had a little bit of a complaint by somebody's texting me during the commercial break about you, Andy. It was from Michael McDowell, and he said, please tell Andy to stop telling people how to drive in the wet. He said, you're giving away our advantage.
I do get hired for coaching here, so I probably shouldn't be giving it out to a million people watching on the broadcast here. So, yeah, I'll stick to the basics from now on. Sorry, Michael.
Derek Kraus in the sand. We saw Chandler Smith get stuck in the sand earlier. That gravel, China Beach they call it, and it's no picnic, that's for sure, once you get in it. Austin Wayne Self around.
Wallace Allen was it as well, Vince.
Hey, congratulations to Austin and his wife Jennifer, by the way, in this, over the course of the last month. He's taken the last 3 races off, but they had a daughter. And congratulations to them. Certainly a life-changing occurrence, and I know they're thrilled to death to welcome Zeppelin into their life. And with a truck off course and in the sand, or in the pea gravel, if you will, there's the red flag coming out. Tyler Ankrum off track. You saw Colby Howard as well. This is really no different than what we saw in that first group, Group A. You know, when they first went out, we saw trucks everywhere, and that's certainly the case again with this group getting adjusted and acclimated to the conditions.
This is an overestimation of grip. It's that simple. These guys have run at other tracks, most likely in the wet, and again, they see this coming here. I mean, even Justin, who's won here in the wet, he's sliding that thing all over the place. Nobody's really having a good time here as they're all battling handling issues trying to make this thing work.
And we mentioned earlier his 38 Truck Series starts, and of course got some Xfinity Series experience as well. We mentioned his win here at Mid-Ohio and his sports car accomplishments as well, including that Rolex 24 class victory.
I was his teammate there.
Were you?
Were you? How about that? What a feel-good story, though, I think, for 2022 with the job that Trackhouse Racing, owned by Justin Marks, has done. 3 wins already. Both their drivers, Ross Chastain with 2 wins, Daniel Suarez with a win. What an amazing job that they've done in a very short period of time.
Unbelievable. I shot Justin a text about a month ago after Suarez won, and I said, now technically, race to race, car to car, you've got more wins per entry than any next-gen owner for this season, more than Rick Hendrick, more than any of the big names. I'm like, in your second real year, first time with 2 cars, you are way overachieving, as he's done with almost everything else he's ever done in his life.
Currently first on the speed chart here in Group B. I think that's where we see some of that experience paying off, as we're still under red flag conditions.
We're almost 5 minutes into this session, Benson. Really, Justin Marks is essentially the only one with a lap time. Zane Smith has a lap time, but it's 9 seconds slower than Justin, so he wasn't even up to speed. So it's going to get really busy here when they open the track back up.
You know, Justin was smart. He was the first one out of the pits. And so your mentality there is, if you're the first one going out, you think it's either going to be carnage-filled or it's going to get more wet. That the track is going to keep, it's going to stop. You know, the grass is going to stop soaking up water, and it's going to start coming across the track, or it's going to start raining harder, one or the other. But he was able to get out, and if everybody's wondering at home why it's like that, he was just the first one to get out there, get his first lap in. We've got Josh down in pit lane.
Yeah, that's right. I'm down here with John Hunter Nemechek, and let me know what the conditions are like out there, as we see a lot of people battling, but you were still able to put up speed in that first group.
Yeah, I thought our truck was pretty good. I really enjoy rain racing. I don't know what it is about it, but it's a lot of fun. Being able to move offline, try and find grip. I did a 360 actually off turns too and kept going, so that was pretty cool. But just having fun with it. Rain racing here is very hard. I feel like Mid-Ohio is one of the hardest places, as a lot of people say, when you come and race in the rain. Both the inside groove and the outside groove, I believe, are polished. from what I've heard, and the inside groove is definitely slick, as it is everywhere in the rain. So just having fun with it. Mobil 1 Toyota Tundra TRD Pro was fast right from the get-go, and we unloaded today. Having some extra laps in the ARCA car is helping for sure, and now running in the rain, hopefully that helps for the ARCA race later this evening. But I don't know if we're going to get a round 2 or not. Hopefully we do, and try and go set it on the pole.
Thanks, and good luck, John Hunter. Jamie?
Matt Crafton was 4th in that first qualifying group, and I was just watching as your team was scooping gravel and sweeping out from underneath it. What are the biggest challenges out there aside from just the rain falling?
Biggest thing here is we've never been here. I ran, like 5 laps at full speed today, and trying to figure out even where the dry line is. Now that they throw the wet, you got to try to find the wet line. I love this. I mean, I wish we got to race tomorrow in the rain. It's so much fun, and you can't put down the throttle. You have to squeeze the throttle down. But all in all, I'm very, very excited about the moves. We got Bud back here on the pit box for the next 2 races. We've had a lot of history together, so hopefully we have a good show tomorrow on our Toyota Tundra.
You've always been pretty vocal about going to racetracks that have character, that force you into driving them. The experience comes into play. How much does experience come into play here at Mid-Ohio?
I've never been here. I watched an IndyCar race here. That was it, and ran it on the simulator last 2 weeks, and that's it. So the rain, I have no idea on that stuff. So I was just shooting in the dark. I knew we had to make top 5 right there to make it to the final round. So drove my butt off and see what we got for this next round.
Thank you, Matt.
Matt mentioned Bud Hafley. He's the new crew chief for the 88 and former crew chief, and currently has the shop foreman role at ThorSport. But a crew chief change with the 88. Jeff Hensley has moved back over to GMS and is the crew chief for Grant Enfinger. They worked together for 4 years in that driver crew chief combination, and now Crafton works with Bud Hafley, longtime friends, been around one another, worked together for a long time. How do you see that move and the significance of it at this point in the season?
Well, I was talking to Jeff Hensley this morning, and he said it just wasn't clicking. He said, I know Matt's a great race car driver, and I feel like that, that I know what I'm doing, but for whatever reason, we just couldn't get on the same page. So he said, I think it's going to be a win-win. Obviously have a great relationship with Grant Enfinger. We've had some success together. I know Matt can do it. I know Bud Hafley can do it. So Jeff Hensley said, hey, certainly no hard feelings. It's just an opportunity. I had to go back home, basically, to North Carolina and work with somebody that I've worked with and had success with in Grant Enfinger.
Well, ThorSport in Sandusky, Ohio, and quite honestly, it's tough to get people to move to Sandusky, Ohio to work for ThorSport. And it's a great organization, and I think those that go there really come to love it and love that organization. But if you've lived your whole life in North Carolina, moving to Sandusky, Ohio is a big move. It's about an hour from where we are in Mid-Ohio, and but it's still it's challenging. And ThorSport finds some gratification in the success that they've had through the years with Duke and Rhonda Thorson leading the way by the fact that they are in a remote location in relation to the rest of the NASCAR community.
Yeah, I've been up there and talked to Duke at the shop, and I know how proud he is of his organization and all the people in it, and it's amazing what they've been able to accomplish. Matt Crafton with 3 championships on his own, as we see Derek Kraus going around for the 2nd time in this session.
Derek Kraus, by the way, Charles DeNike, who was the crew chief on the 23, where Hensley has gone. DeNike has now moved over to the 19 with Derek Kraus, and Kraus is just outside the bubble in the playoff picture as you see qualifying continue, approaching the final 5 minutes in Group B. So top of the screen you see the fastest in Group A, and then our 5 quickest in Group B, separated by the yellow line there. Casagrala currently on the bubble of the top 5.
We had a lot of movement in a week, Vince. I mean, we only had 1 week off, didn't we?
We had 8 crew chief changes, or 8 crew chiefs on new trucks this week, including the trucks of playoff contenders Enfinger, Crafton, and Kraus.
Wow, amazing.
We just saw the 25 at the Benedetto move to the top of the charts. Obviously, not everybody's up to speed yet, because we can look at our Fast 5 across the top of the screen here, see that they're down into the 58s, all of them under 201, where we don't have a single truck doing that yet. 99 going for a little more off-roading. Some of our road course fans that might not be NASCAR fans may be tuning in and watching this and wondering, why are these trucks? We got a side-by-side of Kaz and Justin here. End of the back straightaway. This is coming into turn 4. Tricky situation. They both want that outside. Justin, it's a little more than a slide job.
Yeah.
It's a door job.
Don't really want to do a whole lot of racing in this little qualifying session.
You want to force your clear lap, though. There's 3 more corners, and you get to start again. And either Justin's on a good one here, or obviously he wants to get clear and have a clear windshield for the beginning of that next lap.
Jack Wood, another one of those with an issue. Yeah, the last thing you want to do is tear your truck up today in these conditions and then have to deal with that tomorrow, even though the conditions obviously tomorrow are going to be expected to be a lot better. But still, you don't want to have to repair and go to the back of the field.
Vince, I think if I'm a crew chief, I'm going to tell my driver, go out there, get me as fast as lap as you can without taking any chances of tearing that truck up. And that's the lovely thing that I've seen about this racetrack. We saw that one truck get into the wall in practice earlier today, but all these spins, we've probably had 40 spins during this qualifying session with both groups. And I don't think anybody has got into the outside barrier, and I think that's amazing.
There's Corey Heim in the 51, of course, a part-timer on the schedule, but boy, I tell you what, he has been impressive as he jumps up into the number 2 position in this qualifying session. He has won 2 of his 7 starts this season.
He does have some experience here. He ran the ARCA Menards race here last year, actually sat on the pole and was contending for the win with Ty Gibbs, and ended up jumping a restart and got penalized, and that relegated him to a 7th place finish.
He's on a good line, and you can see the truck turns in really good. If you watch that entry viewpoint that we've got from turn 1, when he comes under the bridge, he turns that truck, and you see that nose point, but he's using up his outside edges big time here. He's patient on his throttle. We're not seeing him jump the rear end off all over the place, but look how daring he gets in wide, coming through corners that he's nowhere near those apexes. Just running that outside, looking for that grip, trying to put that power down, and that's a good-looking truck right there.
I think he was watching our first qualifying session and was listening to Andy, like Michael McDowell was talking about, because he's getting it done here, 2nd quickest so far.
So is Justin. Just bettered his time for the 3rd lap in a row here, finally down to a 2:51.
Back down to Jamie on the 51 of Heim.
And just as you're talking about how hooked up he looks out there, we'll talk about that truck a little bit. That's the Kyle Busch. It's chassis number 71. It's the chassis that John Hunter Nemechek drove to a 2nd place finish in Watkins Glen to round out the 2021 season. It's also the truck that Kyle Busch drove to a 3rd place finish at COTA and to the win at Sonoma. And Marty Lindley, his crew chief for the weekend, Corey's crew chief, was the crew chief for Kyle Busch when he did win at Sonoma. So there's a lot of good things going on with that team's road racing program right now. And Corey says it's a privilege to be able to be in the truck and just be a part of it.
Yeah, Jamie, not just the road racing program, and that, of course, Kyle Busch Motorsports strong, obviously, but that 51 and what Marty Lindley has done has been impressive with 3 wins this season.
That's Chris Wright. That was going into turn number 1, the 44 truck. Got it going. Did a nice job not getting stuck. Now he gets back on the racetrack and heading into turn number 2. Not great as well.
Well, there are 13 turns, so he's got 11 more to go.
He does. And he's doing double duty, so he could do it again here in the ARCA Menards Series race.
He had a couple things going on there. That was quite a great entry. And also probably too much rear bias there. You saw as you know, he came in with a lot of speed, but as soon as he got to brakes, we could read the sponsor on the side of the truck, and that's obviously no good. That's usually too much rear brake, and it's usually going to end up in a trip to the ground truck.
Final 30 seconds now, and Zane Smith outside the top 5, so unless he can finish here in these final seconds by jumping back into the top 5, you're going to have the defending or the playoff standings leader with a little deeper starting position. As you see Chris Wright, there is the damage that you talked about, Phil, guys avoiding. Unfortunately, Chris Wright unable to avoid it as he's gotten into that inside wall.
Here is Andy just coming off the last corner, just trying to put the power down, and
he was a little bit on the dry line from the apex out, and it looked like he was trying to turn the truck down to get it onto the good stuff, and just got a little bit aggressive with the power there, and obviously you break those rear wheels loose, it's going to just keep coming around. As that was happening, the fastest time of our qualifying session for both sessions combined was set with Hyman, that 51. That truck is quick and is now half a second faster than anybody in any of the sessions.
And looks good, too. Looks good doing it.
So here's Zane Smith trying to get into the top 5. The clock has expired, and he has just crossed the finish line. So he did not get into the top 5 before time has expired, and Tom Majeski working on it as well.
One of the hottest guys we have here. You see him right now being shown in the 11th spot. And again, after the Colby Howard gets turned around again in the 91, he's going to try to keep it rolling. We're going to lock in the top 5 from each session, and they will go for the pole in a little bit. But then everyone else is just going to be ranked by their lap time. So just because Christian Eckes is 10th, that doesn't mean he's going to necessarily be 20th after they combine the lap times.
And we saw Majeski there take off 2 seconds. He got 2 seconds better on that last lap, but still obviously struggling a little bit with that truck to get that speed out.
This is the last truck here. It's Kaz Grala, who is potentially in a position to jump up into the top 5. He is the only one that's still on a hot lap here that began before the time expired in this Group B session.
That's a relative term, hot lap.
Yes. And he crosses the line right there and is not able to jump up into the top 5. So it'll be Heim, DiBenedetto, Ankrum, Marks, and Taylor Gray advancing to the final round out of Group B. And I don't know that there's any big surprises in that group other maybe than the fact that Taylor Gray is in there and Zane Smith is not. Smith first and second in the 2 road courses earlier this season. Final round of qualifying coming up. Yeah, it's really coming down in Mid-Ohio. This is, in fact, the hardest it's rained all day. There's been some precipitation throughout the course of the afternoon, but nothing quite like this. And we have gotten through Group A, and now Group B is complete, and you see those in yellow advancing to the final round for a shot to capture the pole. Zane Smith just misses. Nice qualifying effort from Austin Wayne Self, Ben Rhodes, Kaz Grala, Christian Eckes filling out the top 10, but good effort there from Justin Marks, Taylor Gray. Well done. A couple of guys that we don't get to see very often. Let's go downstairs to Josh. He's with Zane Smith.
Yeah, Zane Smith just outside in that final group in terms of qualifying. What was it like out there battling the rain that's just coming down harder and harder as the time goes on?
Slick. I don't know. I felt like we were decent in the beginning, and I struggled just getting a clean track there at the end. I think when it started getting faster. But I don't know, unfortunate just because our metrics would have had us on pole, and there's rumors going around the garage of we weren't going to qualify if it was going to rain because everyone was locked in or something. So sucks that I don't know where I'll start now, 11th, 12th or something, but a place that's super hard to pass, but we'll do our best. I know in the dry we have a really fast Boot Barn Ford, so we'll give it our all and hopefully maintain this points lead.
And you've been really good on road courses, a win and a second place finish this season. What is it about road courses that suits your style?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy road course racing, preferably in the dry. I grew up racing karts when I was a kid and all around the country, and so I just really enjoy it. There's a big version of that, so I don't know, I don't want to call it like an off weekend, but it's definitely a little bit more fun when you go road racing.
Thanks, and good luck, Zane.
Certainly impressive. He won at COTA, finished second at Sonoma, and that's helped him gain the regular season points advantage. The last 3 races, the points lead has changed hands. So Zane Smith trying to hold on to that through the final couple of races of the regular season. And remember that 15 bonus points is the prize for winning the regular season championship, and those bonus points are huge trying to get you to the championship
race. You
race.
Carry him with you all the way to the championship race to be one of the top 4 the last two races, we had these top four separated by only 14 points. And so you can see the big difference for Zane now is 21 points all the way to second.
Setting the lineup for tomorrow's race at Mid-Ohio for the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. Rain continues to fall at Mid-Ohio, and qualifying has been canceled after these first two rounds. So we did have all drivers get a lap, post a time. Group A had its 15 minutes. Group B had its 15 minutes. But the final group will not roll, and NASCAR has determined that the conditions are just too treacherous at this point, and no sense damaging vehicles when we're expecting to race under dry conditions tomorrow. So the top time from the two groups, well, it belongs to Corey Heim and the 51 team of Kyle Busch Motorsports. So Heim will earn pole position, and that is his second career pole and just his 11th start. And there you kind of get an indication of how hard it is raining, and it's really the pace of the rain has increased as this qualifying session began from where we started a little more than an hour ago. So it'll be Corey Heim and Parker Kligerman on the front row when we go racing tomorrow. And it is a big weekend of NASCAR. Of course, we got Race Hub coming up. Don't forget, ARCA Menards Series is yet to come from Mid-Ohio. Race day tomorrow, leading us into the Truck Series race under much better conditions. We look forward to it here tomorrow. And then Sunday, race day, get you ready for the Cup race at Atlanta. Well, what's your takeaway from what we have seen today in this exercise? Really an exercise in futility, right?
Well, this is nothing like what we're going to see tomorrow. We're going to have a great racetrack, going to be fast speeds. We saw a lot of carnage during that practice session or qualifying session, and NASCAR has said the qualifying session is complete. They just did not elect to do the final round, so they felt like, as you mentioned, Vince, every truck got an opportunity to qualify. They did. It's complete, and there's our front row right there, Adam. Excuse me, Andy.
My takeaway here, obviously, with our truck race rolling around, is I want to be stuck on my couch and don't change the channel from FS1 because this ARCA race is going to be awesome.
For Phil Parsons, Andy Lally, I'm Vince Welch. Let's go to Adam Alexander.